A world champion in just his third season in Formula One, Nelson Piquet's place in the pantheon of motorsport legends was evident at an early age. His 2 subsequent crowns merely confirmed his greatness. Often overshadowed by his fellow 3-time world champions Jack Brabham, Jackie Stewart, Niki Lauda and compatriot Ayrton Senna, his craft and cunning made him as many fans as it did detractors. But he loved to drive, and he lived to win. On his day there was no one quite like him, and his career was filled with moments of true brilliance. The San Marino Grand Prix first graced the Formula One calendar in 1981, but the most serene republic lacked a racing circuit, so Imola was chosen to host. Piquet qualified P5, but the wet conditions and a poor start saw him drop to 9th place on the opening lap. At that point, there seemed little hope of chasing down the new turbocharged Ferrari 126 CKs that were building up a serious gap at the front, Gilles Villeneuve and Didier Pironi. But patiently and skillfully, the Brazilian cut through the pack, lapping fastest of anyone on track. As the circuit dried, race leader Gilles Villeneuve pitted for slicks, and Piquet found himself in third, and soon all over the back of Riccardo Patrese. Once past the Arrows man, there was another to deal with, race leader Pironi.
He's going to try and go through, and indeed he does. We have a new race leader, and it's Piquet ahead of Didier Pironi.
It was an intelligent and skillful move, the type that would come to epitomise his racing style, and one that would net him victory at Imola, his second win at the famous Italian circuit. Piquet had to endure another feat of endurance to claim his maiden world championship in 1981, in the final race of the season. 3 men were still in the running for the driver's crown as the teams arrived in Las Vegas for the Caesars Palace Grand Prix: Piquet, Carlos Reutemann and Jacques Lafitte. The location for the showdown would prove problematic. Racing around the famous casino's parking lot, the circuit's zigzag and anti-clockwise layout put huge strain on the drivers' necks over the 75 laps, and the desert heat only made things worse. Piquet's weekend was made worse after he employed the services of Sugar Ray Leonard's masseuse to ease his Las Vegas neck, suffering severe bruising to his back. The 75-lap race proved a brutal slog. Piquet later admitted that when the board went up to signal 33 laps completed, his head sank, the agony of continuing almost too much to bear. But continue he did for all 75 of the grueling, exhausting, monotonous and strength-sapping laps, to come home in 5th spot ahead of his championship rivals and claim that coveted title. Physically sick and at the point of collapse, he eventually managed to take to the podium to celebrate his triumph. In 1982, Piquet was the reigning world champion, but the Brazilian had yet to win his home race, an omission he hoped to rectify as the teams arrived in an extremely hot Rio de Janeiro for round 2 of the championship. Qualifying P7, he would need to extract everything from his normally aspirated Brabham to challenge the dominant turbos of Ferrari and Renault. Working his way up to 3rd spot, a superbly executed slipstream pass on René Arnoux saw him edge closer to race leader Gilles Villeneuve.
There he goes, through into 2nd position. There goes Nelson Piquet. Now he has just got Gilles Villeneuve ahead of him. Rosberg is right with Piquet and he's challenging for 2nd place.
The 2 Cosworth-powered cars traded places as they hunted down the more powerful but heavier Ferrari out in front, and a 3-car battle ensued. Harrying Villeneuve at every turn, the decisive moment came on lap 30.
Piquet now is going to try and go around the outside, and Villeneuve's off. Villeneuve's off. He's lost it. He put his wheels on the grass. He's off. Piquet leads with Rosberg 2nd.
Rosberg, having wrecked his tyres in the earlier tussle for P2, would settle for 2nd place. Piquet's only challenge thereafter was the intense heat and the resulting fatigue, as evidence when he took to the podium to receive the winner's trophy.
Piquet up on the rostrum is looking very, very dodgy indeed. He's fainting. Rosberg and Prost hold him up. And this is sensational. The race winner has fainted and he's disappearing behind the rostrum.
His subdued champagne celebration was perhaps an omen, as both he and Rosberg were subsequently disqualified, their cars being found underweight due to the nature of their so-called brake cooling systems. He and his Brazilian fans would have to wait a little longer for a home Grand Prix win. When motorsport fans mention endurance, they're generally talking about Le Mans or the Indy 500. But what Nelson Piquet had to go through during the 1984 Canadian Grand Prix was more akin to a certain 80s Japanese game show. The defending world champion secured another Grand Chelem in Montreal with a superb pole, leading the pack around for the entire race, bagging the fastest lap on the 55th time around, and topping it off by beating the McLarens of Niki Lauda and Alain Prost to the line. A remarkable feat in itself, but when you consider that his Brabham's new nose-mounted cooling system was emitting intense heat which was burning a hole in his boot every time he pressed the accelerator, the very fact he finished the race at all is a mark of the man's commitment and brilliance.
Now, Nelson, everyone saw a modified nose cone that allowed for a heater up front for the oil. Is this what gave you the foot problems? You have a burned foot here.
Yes, was too much heat and under the seat.
So what are you going to do at Dallas? Will you change the radiator back, do you believe?
I don't know.
In 1985, Piquet secured what would be the Brabham team's final win of their illustrious history. Starting P5 on the grid, an excellent start saw him vault into third spot.
I had a very, very good start. After the first corner, I was in a third position. You see, it came in Keke leading, Senna and me.
Ayrton Senna's Lotus was no match for the BMW-powered Brabham.
Well, I was already trying very hard to get Senna. He tried to overtake me back, but it was too late. And after that, I tried to push a little bit more to get close to Keke.
The Finn had no answer as Piquet made a daring lunge up the inside at the senior curve.
It was a very dangerous place to try, but it was the only place I could. Keke tried to overtake me back, but it was too late.
And as they left the Beausset Horseshoe Bend, the Brazilian was leading the race and went unchallenged to the flag.
Now you and Pirelli have worked together to get the product right, and it really looks as though you have.
Yeah, I'm very happy about this because we had so many bad races, and now we won the first one.
Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And hello for all the mums in England.